Well, I was here. I've written this piece. It's been quite some time. There are two things before I started, of course. One, it is very dark, and two, I'm trying it out and seeing that if it can work out or not. So it's probably, I think, the second time I'm performing it. So let's see if you guys like it. Okay? Are you guys judging me? Because that was a smirk and there was eye contact. Okay. The title of this poem or story and poem is My Uncle Arthur and His Last Words. It was the night of December, cold, dark, and full of stars. I had come home for some free food and love, to have a fresh start this year, the year 2019, erasing past mistakes and making resolutions. While I stood there dressing the sofa, the bell rang, and there he was, my Uncle Arthur. You know, he always came home with a box of chocolates, year after year, and I'd sit on his lap and he read me stories. But now, I wasn't a kid anymore. Though I didn't say no when he asked me for an ice cream. We drove in his car to Baskin-Robbins and he got me vanilla, my favorite. But the story is not about the chocolates or the ice creams, but about his last words. My Uncle Arthur and his last words. However, the story doesn't begin here. It begins well, in fact, after the ice cream is finished. That night, in the night of December, he came at me like a black bear, shoulders rounded under his clothes. So I tried to remember everything I knew about black bears. Whistle while you walk, stay calm. If you don't bother them, then they won't bother you. Play dead. Everything slowed. There was a silence of a graveyard. Now I'll tell you a secret, It's hard to cut a girl. You've got to cut her bad and you've got to cut her right, but Uncle Arthur had a neither. Pain rose along the side of my body like light, while he lit a smoke. I could feel the blood dripping and the bones hurting, but it was the soul that was aching. He picks a shovel and walks towards me. He isn't looking at me. Funny, right? How you can make forceful physical contact but no mutual eye contact? He walked and lifted me up on his shoulder and I tasted blood. His touch left like my soul was dirted. Every second I could see the end nearing. He threw me aside and started digging. Everything slowed. I could hear everything, from the beetles in the grass, the crackers of New Year's, to the fastened breath of his heart, everything. I tried to gather myself, to run, to save a life, my life. But the pain! He starts walking towards me with a shovel. I think it's time. It's time for him to put me to rest. But this time, while lifting me up, he looks at me. His eyes can't bear. His ashamed self shakes. The shovel drops and I pick it up to smash it on his head. Well, you know what they say about the people who dig holes for others. I threw him in his self-dug grave. He gave me a dizzy gaze, and there were his last words. You slut. I put a shovel in his mouth and then I lit a smoke.